going on, YouTube? Y'all doing all right? Welcome back to the channel. You already know who it is. It's your host with the most, Kensou. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. I know I did. I want to talk to you guys about my weekend and a nice little tournament that I participated in known as Counter Logic Gaming First Series. This is the first online tournament I've participated in for Guilty Gear Strive, and probably one of maybe 3 total online tournaments I've ever played in my life. I wanted to make a video on my impressions and how I felt about the tournament, so that's why we're here today. Naturally, as usual, a lot of you guys are not subscribed to the channel, so you know what the deal is. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date with anything and everything going on with the channel. So let's go ahead and cut to the chase and let's talk about CLG Burst Series. So basically what I want to open up with here is this. I think it's pretty cool to see that we had Counter Logic Gaming running a Guilty Gear Strive tournament. I won't lie to you guys, when I first heard about it, I was like, excuse me? To me, seeing Guilty Gear was like, whoa, okay, I guess Guilty Gear's esports now. All right, cool, let's see what happens. And you know, I entered on the strength of you guys encouraging me, and it was pretty fun. But I do have some things I do want to talk about regarding my experience, right? So from my standpoint, it was a 2-day event. It was Friday and Saturday. Friday was the pools, and then Saturday was top 64, all the way, running it all the way up until the end, right? I thought it was okay when it came to pools because, you know, kind of ran through my pool pretty quickly, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops. So Friday, like, there was no major issues, but there is something in particular I do want to mention that should be taken note of. The tournament actually had 435 entrants, if I recall right, to be exact. And while that number sounds great, and there's a lot of players, there's also a good chunk of disqualifications for a lot of players who did not participate in the event for whatever reason. My honest assumption was that they probably thought it was a PS4, PS5 tournament and they entered anyway because they're like, all right, cool, we're in there. Not knowing that it was actually on PC and PC only. So it kind of hurt the competition a little bit, in my honest opinion, not having some of the players that I thought probably would have done well, you know, in the event. But can't cry over spilt milk, right? The unfortunate part is that happened across a lot of pools, not just my own. So that was Friday. After the very first match that I played in the top 64, I had to wait 2 hours to play my second match, which was very, very frustrating and very, very time consuming. Needless to say, I actually was getting pretty impatient, and that kind of happens. That's kind of like the narrative throughout this entire thing you're gonna see. So I was getting really impatient until eventually 2 hours later I had to play Flux, finally. So I played Flux, won the match, and I was like, okay, cool. You know, granted I had a lot of energy afterwards, but you know, the wait time was definitely not cool, you know. Then after Flux, we had to play Justin Wong next, and I think this is pretty much where the story kind of takes a dip. Essentially, when I had to play Justin, unfortunately there was lag. It was chunky. It just wasn't a good time. Now I actually have video footage of this, of me playing on the stream where the game is spiking up, 7 frames, and I'm just like, this is pretty bad. So I eventually just said, okay, I'm done. I'm not gonna play this. We're gonna try something else, and we tried a bunch of different ways to play between the parks and stuff like that, and for what it's worth, it ended up being a little bit better towards the later half of it because we were asked to both stop streaming, essentially. So we both stopped streaming, and then we tried to play again, and it seemed okay, but when we did decide to play finally, it was pretty bad again. Like on my side, it still showed one-ish frames to 2-ish frames, but like it still had issues on my end in terms of my inputs, and like the game was kind of chugging a little bit on my side. Kind of unfortunate state of affairs in that regard, because I was like, I'm pretty confident it's not my internet, but I'm not gonna bother worrying about this too much. So this is kind of like the sad part, you guys. I kind of just said, all right, whatever, I'm just gonna play possum and just knock this out and just be done. I didn't really care at that point about the loss. I was just more concerned about running the tournament and moving it faster, because at that stage in the game, like, again, disheartening stuff here, but like, I essentially just played possum and took an L, because I don't think that there was anything that the TOs could have done about our connection, you know. Not to mention, come to find out that, from what I gather, you know, this is what people were telling me, is that Justin Wong was actually playing on a laptop. I think it was a gaming laptop, and I do feel some type of way about that, but you know, I don't necessarily blame him entirely. You know, it's not his fault entirely, you know, but it kind of sucks in a sense, because like, you know, I would assume someone playing in a PC tournament would play on an actual PC and not on a laptop, because, you know, not to say that a PC couldn't be stressed out trying to play, you know, a game, but these days, you know, a lot of the pre-built PCs are pretty strong. And you know, the same thing could be said for some of the gaming laptops. You know, they're pretty strong nowadays too. But I would assume naturally, and you guys can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, that the infrastructure of a laptop isn't 100% built for keeping the laptop itself cool. So there's potential chances of it running hot when maybe it shouldn't. Whereas with PC, you know, it's gonna have several fans inside where, you know, it's gonna keep the PC cool. There's other issues as well that I heard from other people in regards to his game not being optimized and stuff like that to be played. So, you know, it's, you know, in a lot of ways it can be seen as an honest mistake, you know, maybe on his end, but you know, I would say, you know, objectively speaking, that, you know, if you're playing an online tournament and you're streaming at the same time, I would honestly assume that playing on a laptop would probably be a no-go. So coming back full swing, yeah, I kind of just didn't care at that point. I was like, all right, well, again, I don't feel like there was anything that the TOs could have done to kind of rectify the situation regarding our connection. So it is what it is. We moved the tournament forward, and I just went to losers bracket, where I fought was it Kraken Atkins, and then after that played Smash player Void, and then from that point it was the end of the road for me after playing SQ. All in all, you know, great games. I definitely enjoyed the games in which that I did play against all the players. So there's no like love lost there, you know. It was essentially just the wait times, you know, and the connectivity issues with Jaewong, which is unfortunate, right? Okay, so I guess with that, let me move on to my overall constructive criticisms about this event. So essentially, while I think the event was cool, you know, and it's definitely a first of its kind, and I do feel that like CLG definitely has their heart and minds in like the right place for trying to run something like this, I do think that they should consider having 2 separate streams to kind of keep the flow of the event moving a lot faster. The notion to stream all of top 64 on one stream, I think, was actually, to be honest with you guys, a very bad idea. And this is why I'm suggesting they have 2 streams. So let's say Counter Logic Gaming 1, Counter Logic Gaming 2, so you can keep up with the winners and the losers and just go from there. I think the main stream should have been winners, and losers could have been anything else. Winners and losers matches, right? But the idea is you want to keep the tournament flow going, because, you know, to be honest with you, you know, we're playing in these tournaments at home. You know, I have to take care of my animals, you know, I get phone calls, there's all kinds of things that could happen, you know, family emergencies, what have you. So I feel like to be more respectful and mindful of people's time, especially being at home, because, you know, we're not at a venue, you know, it's not, these other external factors are not there. We're at a venue, right? So I feel like in order to keep that up and like have the tournament kind of just move along quickly, I think that should be taken into consideration. In addition to that, regarding the Jaewong situation, I wasn't the only person who had issues. Kotashi also had the exact same problem. He had, you know, his stream spike up to 7 frames as well while he was playing him. So it's kind of like, I'm not the only person who had to deal with that, right? So I feel like in the future, and this isn't just for CLG, right? This is for future TOs who are doing online tournaments for this game as well. I think there needs to be some kind of way, some kind of ruling where you can like essentially check out connections. You know, if more than one player is having issues with connectivity with a player, I think something should be done. What, I'm not sure. I don't want to go to any kind of extremes, because some people were saying, like, for example, they should like DQ, you know, Jaewong because of his connection. I don't know really the best course of action for that, because I'm not in that position, and I don't really want to like offer any major suggestion for that. I think it's more so up to the TOs to figure that out, like that one out. You know, whatever the ruling is, I think it should be fair. you know, because I do think it does, you know, as I said before, it does suck that you had two players who had the exact same problem with the player who was in the top 8. So it kind of breeds the question, what was happening to other people prior to those matches between myself and Hotashi, right, with that. So you know, like I said, that to me is where like things get kind of questionable, and that's why I say, like, I'm not trying to stick my hand in that cookie jar and be messy about it. I'm just bringing it to you guys' attention so you can kind of like see what I was going through and other people as well. So maybe as a community we can probably come up with some kind of decision, right? So if you're from CLG and you're watching this, you know, this is for you, right? And anyone else running tournaments online, this is for something for you guys to think about. Okay, coming back full circle and just ending this, all in all, I do think that the event was cool. I do think CLG has something on their hands. I will definitely consider participating in another one if they can get that stuff working. And it's the same for all the other online events, right? You guys have to do something about the wait times. As long as you're doing something about the wait times, it's fine. But if, you know, playing in these online events, you know, like I said, it's very, very time consuming, and like there's things that people could be doing with their day. I'm just gonna be so consider, you know, time as a big factor for the people who are, you know, supporting your event. So with that being said, I had a good time. I definitely feel like, even though I didn't win the tournament, I feel like I won the hearts of the people and I became the people's champ. So, you know, my biggest thing really quickly, just going into it, you know, I just wanted to show people the power of Chip, you know, because there's so much, you know, people don't know what they're talking about when it comes to the character online. So it's just kind of like, hey, I've been around the block with this guy for years. Let me show you guys how it's done. And, you know, little humble flex here, you know, I've been doing this for quite some time playing Chip, you know, so I really just want to show people how strong the character actually is, and like things you should be looking at, etc, etc. So it was a good time. It was a good time. I definitely had fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it. That's gonna do it for me, you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace.